and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to our semi-monthly Wenatchee Valley Speakers Meeting with Alcoholics Anonymous. We meet the first and third Sunday of each month at 7 p.m. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and anyone interested may attend. The short form of Tradition 1 states our common welfare comes first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. In keeping with the spirit of that tradition, this group strives to maintain a safe and welcome meeting environment in which alcoholics can focus on achieving sobriety. Also, we are guests here at Duncan Hall and endeavor to leave it in better condition than we found it. If you have a cell phone, please mute it. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on the reasons we're here, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. I can't remember who agreed to read how it works.
Dakota, I'm an alcoholic.
Dakota.
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided what you want, or you want what we have, and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cutting, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked for his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Number 1, we admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Number 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Number 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Number 8, made a list of all persons that we had harmed and became willing to make amends to all of them. Number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Number 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic in the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were so.
Thanks, Dakota. And somebody has their traditions.
Deborah, I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Deborah.
I have a tradition. Deborah. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group consciences. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles
Before personality. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. We'll pass the basket. Are there any visitors from outside the Wenatchee Valley that would like to introduce themselves?
Jerry, alcoholic.
Hey, Jerry.
Gold Bar, Washington.
Welcome, Jerry. Do we have any newcomers to AA within the first 30 days of sobriety? We have another person?
My name's Murray, and I'm an alcoholic.
Oh,
My home group is Index, Washington.
Thanks for coming, Murray.
Used to be here.
Are there any newcomers? First 30 days of sobriety, introduce yourself, please. Nope. Will members who are willing to be a sponsor or speak with a newcomer after the meeting, please raise your hand. Are there any sobriety birthdays to be celebrated in the month of November?
My name's Murray, I'm an alcoholic. We celebrate, and this is a strong we for her and Wenatchee, celebrated 18 months on the 6th.
Josh, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Josh.
2 months yesterday.
Okay. There are any other AA related announcements?
The next speaker will be December 7th, and Jennifer W. from Twist, Washington will be speaking.
Nice.
Good. Thank you. Our meeting format is to have a speaker share their experience, strength, and hope. Please join us in extending a warm welcome to tonight's speaker, Murray.
Hello, my name is Murray, and I am an alcoholic. I was hoping we could have a moment of silence, calm my nerves a little, and just to remember the still suffering alcoholic and those we have lost, please. Thank you. Starting off with a little light humor. Some speakers, are able to come up here with a blank piece of paper. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before, and saying that this is what they wrote down on a blank piece of paper on their bullet points and what they're about to talk tonight. But I always thought that was so cool, implying that they have a strong program and them and their higher power is all they need. But I wrote down about 4 or 5 pages so I didn't choke up tonight. So I do only have 18 months, so I'm not going to act like I know much about the steps and share too much, just the facts. Laying it out there, my experience, strength, and hope at this stage of my recovery that I'm at. My home group is the Index Group in Index, Washington. We meet Fridays at 7 p.m. We'd love to have all of you come up and come hang out with us. I have a sponsor, and my sponsor has a sponsor. My sobriety date is May 6th, 2024, and I achieved that right here in Wenatchee, Washington. This city is where I used the phone list on May 6th, 2024, and I prayed to God for help on that same day. I prayed in the evening and prayed in the morning. I didn't really believe or disbelieve in a God, and I was just saying the words to say it. But I called Chip to get the number for Gary. I wasn't going to mention his number as any names, but I asked Gary to sponsor me, and I asked God for help that day. I'm very happy to be here, and proud to be here in Wenatchee, where it all started for me. To have this service opportunity and to be challenged and have some spiritual growth today. I'm afraid that I will get a lot more out of this than any one of you, but I would be proud to have a newcomer or anyone remember anything that would help them in their recovery. But just writing these things down and going through the past has been really, really good for me. So I want you guys to know, thank you for asking me, and thank you for showing up tonight. It's been a really good experience, even before I showed up here. This personal spiritual growth is hard, and it's the only way that we're going to make it. And I did ask Wenatchee for help, and I'll be darned if I'm not getting it. I'd like to mention that I do not represent AA or any type of spokesman. I'm not an AA spokesman or a representative. I'm just an alcoholic. I've never completely worked, so I'd also like to mention the 12 steps with a sponsor. And I will not stand here and try to pretend that I am ready to be someone's sponsor or spiritual mentor. I felt necessary to kind of go through this intro for me to be able to tell my story. It's kind of cut and dry with just some facts. It's a fine line keeping principles before personalities and not keep my ego down. And I'm afraid of personal defects coming out. So I guess basically what I'm trying to say is I'm a newcomer, and I'm very happy to be here. I was born in Riverside, California. I'm a bicentennial baby. Another reason that I'm going through all of this is I believe that all these moves and not having a stable place to live affected my alcoholism. My mother, turns out, was an addict, alcoholic, and my brother is active addict, alcoholic. So I think that it is in my genes. But also going to 3 elementaries, 3 junior highs, and 2 high schools probably didn't help. So I was born in Riverside, California, my father's hometown area. He was raised Pentecostal, assistant chaplain in the Army. Met my mom. They got married. I guess I'm a miracle baby. She had a problem with fertility, had me when they were 32 years old. I moved to my mother's hometown, St. George, Utah, when I was 1 year old, where my brother was born. That's where my grandparents on my mom's side, strong Mormon community, had aunts and cousins. And unfortunately, by the time we were in second grade, they got a divorce, and my mom moved me and my brother to Farmington, New Mexico. So there's another move and another elementary. Being young with divorced parents, I guess I didn't really know better. I guess my mother tried to divide us kids with our dad. Looking back on it, the truth came out. My dad was a really good, honest, good guy. And my mom had some issues like all of us here tonight. Hers were unchecked, and she never worked a program. But in Farmington, New Mexico, I was enrolled in sports, city sports, Boys and Girls Club. Pretty talented at just basic sports, like a kid running around kicking soccer balls and scoring goals and basketball and getting points, not like a real. Anyway, my self-confidence and self-esteem was really high in elementary. My mom got back into church, was baptized in the LDS church. A confusing thing about these days is when I was sick, or my mom always had some brandy under her bed, and she was going out to the bars, and she met a man and married him for a while, but it was mixed signals there with the school and the LDS and being baptized, and then I still don't understand it, and I'll work with my sponsor with that. My brother and I, we took professional piano lessons. We were in the chess club. We took karate, lots of sports. My mother was a physical education teacher, graduated with a master's degree in BYU, which makes the whole alcohol drug thing later in my story even more confusing. She served a mission. Ended up doing lots of meth with her. But overall, I was a happy, confident child. We left New Mexico and moved to the greater Salt Lake area, West Valley City, Taylorsville, Utah, if anyone knows that. And that confident child in elementary this is my third elementary there. We went to two of them in Farmington. Now I showed up to Salt Lake City, and I don't know what class is the biggest, Class A school, but it was probably the biggest junior high there is. And I didn't know anyone. I was going through puberty, felt awkward. It was tough. I'll tell you, it was tough going to a new town, being the new kid, and being in 7th grade. I still managed to make friends, and I was still involved, not really in sports anymore. For whatever reason, we quit being involved in sports, piano, and karate. We went to church, but I think she was going through a tough time adjusting. I'm not sure, but life definitely took a strange turn in my 7th grade. I went to live with my father in St. George, Utah for the first half of my 8th grade year, and he didn't do anything wrong. Everything was great. I got in a fight, just awkwardness with a new school, the new kids, and I just felt uncomfortable. So I went back and left southern Utah, Salt Lake again, to live with my mom for the second half of 8th grade, and I think that did hurt my dad a little bit, but he understood, I'm sure. But it was awkward fitting into these schools, and right about then, my grandfather died on my mom's side, and we had a pretty strong cousins. I had lots of cousins, and my aunts and cousins in Utah. It all fell apart after that, and everyone kind of went their own way. And when my grandfather died, he was fairly well off. He was able to give there was 5 sisters, 5 daughters, all a house and some money. And so we moved back down to St. George, Utah. So moved yet again. So this is my 3rd junior high. Trying to fit in 9th grade. Moved back down to St. George. Live in my grandpa's house. Just kind of never fitting in and never feeling right. And as alcoholics, I think we all know where this is going. So after we lived in my grandpa's house and put him in the ground and things settled down, she inherited a house in Washington City, Utah, which is St. George. So moved to another high school. I did make the basketball team at this new high school. And I was on the football team. Still a new kid on the block, but somewhat cool and popular, but still kind of had that I didn't grow up with everyone, and I didn't know everyone that well, and maybe class clown type of mentality was what was going on. So oddly enough, my first drink was when we moved to Washington City, Utah, and I got drunk with my mother, my aunt, 2 aunts, an older cousin, her friend who I hooked up with, and they were like 2 or 3 years older. So I got the message that it was okay to drink. And not only that, I got to hook up with older girls. And being the alcoholic, of course, I didn't get sick at all. And I remember it clear as day. It was, what was that? What were those wine coolers? Barnard's and James. So my cousin's friend, she got really sick, so I was holding her hair up while she was throwing up in the toilet. Very, very, very debonair. Yes, classy. So, but I did get it imprinted in my head that it's okay to drink. It's okay to have fun and be loud, and that parental fear definitely eroded quickly. That was my first drink, and I don't know really how drunk I got, but I did wake up on the bathroom floor, but really because the girl was there. So that's that. First drink. After football class, after football, me and a guy, we went to his parents' house and drinking Bacardi 151, and I was in the bathtub puking, and somehow I managed to get cleaned up before his parents got home and drove home. But Bacardi 151 is definitely a way to learn not to drink alcohol heavily. But moving on, I guess. So I got into in high school. My mother, and she was a teacher at an alternative high school, and my new high school, I just didn't feel like I fit in, even though I was a cool kid on playing sports and stuff. And I asked her if I could go over to her school, and I'll tell you what, going to alternative high school, I quickly, for good or bad, I did graduate. I got a diploma. I had attendance issues because I was sloughing, but I grew my hair out and started smoking weed every day and partying, and I was a Grateful Dead hippie. I had 47 shows live before I was even 18 years old. I met all of my contacts there at my alternative school. We're all there. You're either pregnant or you're a doper. So I had very good weed connections, and it was party time for this guy. I was able to stay away from the methamphetamines until about my birthday. I was 18 years old, and I thank God for that, because I probably wouldn't have graduated high school. But alcohol is my problem. I do have drugs in my story, and I'm sorry to bring up drugs, but drugs, I always got to a point where I could quit, and my mind was gone, and I could stop. But I am an addict also. But we'll keep it to alcoholism, because alcohol is the one. I am an alcoholic. I cannot stop once I start, and it will kill me. Drugs, I can stop once I start losing my mind, basically. So I am in the right place, I assure you. So my Grateful Dead years, teenage freedom. Lots of, as you can imagine, before I got to stay away from the hard drugs, but my idols like Eric Clapton and Jerry Garcia, they liked the opiates and the hard drugs. So I had in my mind I was going to end up doing them, but I had a lot of acid trips, jamming out to the dead, tripping on acid and ecstasy was like the best thing in the world for me. And that is an unhealthy way to be growing up, to stare at your clouds on the back and that be the highlight of your existence. I'm not glorifying these days at all. This is just part of my story. By the time I was in 1996, just a couple years out of high school, I was in a house. I got raided because we were dealing weed. They didn't serve the search warrant right. It was after 10 days or whatever it was, so I got off of that. But I moved up to Jackson Hole. Anyway, a lot of moving. I was hippie mentality. I moved up to Jackson Hole, went back down to Utah. The charges were dropped. I moved to Portland for a summer in 1997 at a brewery, of course. I turned 21 at a brewery after I'd been drinking there for several months and had my birthday party at the brewery, and they were not happy. And I never thought about it. So yeah, my head was in the clouds. The McMiniman Brothers in Edgefield in Troutdale. I had a job there. And then I moved. I thought, hey, this would be a good idea to move to Eureka, Arcata, Humboldt County, man. This is cool, great idea. And I did. I went down there and I worked at a gas station. But really, the liquor hadn't. I was only microbrews and then a lot of weed. And I was kind of off the drugs then. But yeah, Humboldt County, young. California didn't work for me. I was working at a gas station, and the place got robbed 5 times in like 6 weeks. And I showed up one night, and like the cop cars were there, and they said, "Oh, whoa, hey, we're just cleaning it up." And then they drove off, and then they turned the lights back on and gave me the keys. And I thought, okay, California, I don't know. This isn't quite going to work for me. I do appreciate you guys listening to some of this. Maybe I won't drag it on too long here. I moved up to Jackson Hole. And that's where I fell in love with the greater Yellowstone area. This is about 1999. It was a good stage in my life. I was making peanuts, but I was backpacking, fly fishing, snowboarding. Jackson Hole was millionaires then, not billionaires. And I became a ski bum. Really lived a pretty fun life. You know, it was partying with chicks, lots of women, free love, free Teton Village ski passes. You know, we take our beer cans in, get eggs in the morning, that type of thing. Just really pathetic, but when you're young, who cares? I moved, got a job in Thermopolis, Wyoming as a fly fishing guide, because that's what I ended up falling in love with. And I moved upriver in 04 to 08, and I became a full-time fly fishing guide. There I met my future wife, farmer's granddaughter, and unfortunately meth Montana's pretty known for meth also. It turned up, and then the whiskey. That's where I started drinking whiskey and put away the beer. It's because I'm an alcoholic, that's why. And sometimes we would try and read into why, like right now I'm wondering why. That's because I'm an addict and alcoholic and I have unchecked disease. And on this I'm learning with my 18 months of sobriety. For 2004 to 2008 was good years. The meth wasn't too crazy, and I had a good job. I thought it was the bee's knees to be a fly fishing guide, and I didn't believe in God strongly, but I was like really lucky. I knew that much, and it was a cool job. But getting married to the farmer's granddaughter, I finally decided. Oh, and my father died, and so I had an inheritance. And I wanted to do right upon him looking down upon me. I was the executor of his will, and I was getting married, and I decided to use that money for something that would pay dividends, and it is paying. I went and got a degree, a 2-year degree, but let me tell you the truth, since we're working a program of honesty here. It was a vocational program, and it was retired master electricians, so they gave everybody A's. and the classes never started till like 1 or 2 p.m. So it was like 11 a.m. was maybe the earliest. So I got on the honor roll. They didn't think we were going to do that because it was a new program, but we went and got on the honor roll. So I think the tuition was free. So all I had to do was pay books my whole second year. So I'm sure that we weren't giving out A's after that to everyone. But I did graduate. I don't mean to diminish it too much, but it wasn't like a full college program where Murray all of a sudden kicked it into gear because he got married. I was getting wasted and drinking lots and lots of liquor. But I was recently married, and we were both alcoholics. Come to find out, she went into treatment before I did, and I let her go because she was going to throw it all away and not get help, and I ended up in the same treatment facility 2 years after we got a divorce. And I got drunk the night I got out of treatment, and she made it like I don't know, whatever, maybe 10 days or a week. And I gave her such a hard time for that you're going to throw it all away like that, whatever, just go. But she left me, to be honest with you, because I'm a mean drunk. But I can talk about this stuff with my sponsor, I suppose. Yeah, principles before personalities. Okay. Moved to Billings, Montana, bought a home. With a bit of inheritance money. So I got an education and bought a home, and I wrote it for $208,000 or $760 or whatever, to the penny. And I just said, this is all I have, take it or leave it. And it was in 2010. So they took it begrudgingly, and I was broke. But I did end up getting into an apprenticeship with a union. And I traveled a lot and drank a lot, and so did she, and our marriage fell apart. I finished the apprenticeship in December. I became a journeyman, and she left on the 19th. I think I became a journeyman like 4 days after she left, so it was like bam, bam. And she's one of the reasons I had that fuel to get the degree and go through the apprenticeship and become a licensed journeyman. And I'm just as much at fault or even more when I really look back on it, because I was an asshole and she needed help too, but that's alcoholism. We have contacted each other, and she's not only forgiven me, it was like one of those classic amends. She really kind of didn't know what I was talking about. And that really helps, getting that letter from her. I gave her some money when I sold the house because I didn't have to, but I figured she got kind of shortchanged, and I contacted her mom. We exchanged a letter, and all the stuff we think in our heads a lot of times about things aren't true. And whatever amends I need to make with the sponsor I currently have, I'm sure will pay off, because that one sure did. I'd probably be drunk and dead if I wouldn't have got that letter. So I became a journeyman electrician, and I tell you, I had licenses and I traveled all around the country, and it wasn't really because of freedom. I would have told you, because I'm a free worker on the road, I can take jobs and leave jobs and but it was because I was a raging alcoholic and I could only be employed for 4 or 5 weeks, and me calling in and all the shit would happen. That's the truth. And I would drink all the way to Indiana, and like being hungover and shaky and everything, the only way I could drive is to drink while I'm driving all the way across the country. Pretty crazy stuff. August of 2019, I trashed his hotel. I was the best man at my friend's wedding. Whatever I said to him that night, we don't speak anymore at all. I left Hillsboro, Oregon, got a DUI on my way home. To the law enforcement community, I'm going to mention that I got tasered on my first DUI, It's all on body cam, all on just horrible stuff. Like if my mother or grandmother or anyone could ever see that footage, it would just be devastating. To see yourself like that. Terrible DUI. I totaled my truck, still lived to jump out and run around, and they had to freaking taser me. On my way home, I had some hail damage, so I collected all this money from insurance in August. By the time I got the money, it was about November of 2020, right when COVID hit. So I got this $16,000 check, and then the COVID payments came in. You know, they were like $1,000 a week or something. So I do not blame COVID for my final days of drinking, because it would have happened regardless. But I definitely did not need to go anywhere but my couch. So the darkness set in. Yes, sir and ma'am. Sitting on the couch during the COVID years, I got another DUI, back to back in August of 2019, August of 2020. And this time I had a roommate. He was a dealer with everything. But I got this bright idea to get Klonopins to slow my drinking down, because that's what doctors do, right? Like, you know, to get to not have the seizures and the withdrawals, that I would just self-prescribe Klonopin. It kind of made sense, but of course I just drank and got super wasted with it, and I had Klonopins on me all the time, and my breathing, like, it was really bad, passing out. And my second DUI was Klonopin, and I hate these drunkalogs. Let's just say I was really drunk and really wasted, and I needed help. Okay. I sold my house. Okay. So in 2021, everything got really bad and got really better. My second DUI, the judge basically said the excuse of saying I had too many beers that day or whatever is out the window when you get back-to-back DUIs in an 11-month period. So I had an ankle monitor, saved my life. Sorry, the time's really going by quick. I hope I'm not going too slow. The ankle monitor, I kind of lost my house. I say sold it, but I lost it. And sorry about the drunk log, you guys, but it's the only way I know how to do it is just write down the facts, like Joe Friday, just the facts, man. I had IRS up my butt behind a property tax, and I sold my house for a really good deal to a realtor as is. But I hated the house, and I had an ankle monitor. I had $140,000 cash on me, and I had a drug-appointed licensed addiction counselor out of Billings, Montana court system. She happens to be a AA member, and she saved my life, sure do. And I'm going to send her a copy of this. Sent her a text yesterday. She taught me just to be where your hands are, and I was so far gone and lost in my disease. She brought out this singing ball where you hit it and it rings, and that's the only way I could shut my mind off. Really, she had to perform as a professional, but she is an AA member and would have been a great sponsor. But with the ankle monitor on and her advice to go to sober living, I checked in, and that saved my life. To have the ankle monitor, I never would have been able to stay clean and dry. But the sober living, they breathalyzed me every day and UA'd me every day, and I was homeless. So I did have the opportunity to screw it all up with a pocket full of money. But remember looking in front of that sober living house and being like, no way, those freaking guys are drug addicts and alcoholics, and I was better than them. But I begrudgingly went in, and they required 2 AA or NA meetings a day when I'm not working, and 1 when I am working. UAID once a week randomed, and AA are breathalyzed right when you get in the door. There's no getting away with it, and it's what I needed, and it saved my life. Right when the ankle monitor came out, it was my first taste of AA. I chaired, I was forced into this. I have fought AA tooth and nail with every chance I've ever gotten, where I did not want to listen, to give it up, to embrace what I was being told. I have never, ever, ever, by choice, came in until I moved to Wenatchee. Well, came in fully. So right when the ankle monitor came off, what did I do? I left sober living and got drunk and lost my job, all in one day, because I'm an alcoholic. I went down to my hometown after the ankle monitor came off, and I was afraid of drinking after that little stint. Coming out of the sober living house, I did not drink like a gentleman, and it scared the shit out of me. My brother had to come up and rescue me. We're all here at this together, and I don't mean to get too graphic, but I had to sit in a bathtub, basically, because I just could not control my bowels, take these wet sit baths. I was sick, and I was progressed quick. I went right to the whiskey, and I was drinking 1 liter a day in no time with no tolerance, and that was the way I was going to do it. And my brother had to come up, and that scared me. That really scared me, and to lose all that sobriety. But it was an important lesson, and I'm glad I lived through it to be able to tell you guys the story of that relapse. But still, did I go into the AA rooms? I didn't know enough yet. I have to pick this up a little bit, you guys. So I went down, and like classic alcoholic, I went down to my hometown, and I in my mind, this made sense. I'm just going to just do drugs, because I can't drink. I cannot drink. I'm an alcoholic, but I can handle drugs. So I have high school friends that are in my hometown. Let's just say they've done 10-year stints, 5-year stints. So I was living with one of them, and I still keep him actually. Well, anyway, I am grateful for him opening his home and heart, and that's just the way he is. And he didn't tell me to do the drugs, but it was trading one for the other, and it took a while to get here, you guys. I was miserable, but I did have a head full of AA. I did, and when I was high, I was not happy high, because the AA ruined everything, and thank God for that. So I bought a 5th wheel and got out of St. George, because the drugs I knew were not good for me. I get crazy in the head, where people paranoid. So I left that, and I was just drinking every 4 to 6 weeks, but I lived in Goldendale, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Las Vegas, Reno, basically just running until I moved here. And I was going to meetings the entire time that I was there. I would go to meetings wherever town I was in, but I would get drunk afterwards. I just couldn't understand what was going on. I could hear the message, but it wasn't for me. And the reason is I wasn't willing to fully come in and hand it over, and to give up self. Self had me. I had too much love over control, and I could not ask for help from God and from a sponsor, and I was unwilling to do that. And even after all of these meetings and everything I've learned, I knew that I had to go to an AA room and get a sponsor and work the 12 steps, but I was unwilling to do that. Unwilling. Why? I'm not sure. I knew what the reason was, or what I needed to do is what I mean to say. So I've collected lots of chips, tons of 24-hour chips, maybe 1 month ones, not really even that long. I always thought I could control my drinking. I finally moved up here in 2023 to Quincy, Moses Lake, and I moved down to Hermiston. My brother lived with me, and I went on one last drug epidemic run and was miserable in Hermiston, Oregon in the winter of 2023-2024 before I moved here. And I don't know if some of you remember, my brother moved here with me when I moved here. And we moved here strung out in April. He is an active addict. I was scared to drink, but I was in misery. I had voices. People were out to get me, just in terror when I moved here. And I got a job, and I started coming here to these meetings, and I had been sober for about a month. And here's the day, probably one of the most important things you need to hear from me. The day, my white light moment, if you will. I've been coming to meetings here in this room and at the Alano Club and in the church there, also by the Alano Club, for a month or so. Going to NA meetings, also spreading it out, not wanting to get to know anyone, not working a program and being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just going there, hoping it would rub off and that I could control it. But on Cinco de Mayo, I don't have any Mexican heritage, but I wanted to celebrate the Independence Day of Mexico. So I thought I would get a 6-pack of Negro Modelo and make some tacos. And it was on a Saturday, and I thought it was my last controlled drinking experiment. I had so one thing I'd like to share with you guys is my day that I quit drinking. It wasn't on a nasty, huge bender, and I woke up and the whole world had caved in on itself, and I was the reason, and all this bewilderment and terror. It was quite simple. I had 4 beers. And I knew to watch those 4 beers, and I poured the last 2 down the drain, and I went to bed. And I woke up in the morning, and before my eyelids even cracked, I woke up with an intense craving. We're talking 4 beers and not having drank for 4 weeks to 6 weeks before, so fresh and clean. And this is what changed everything for me. I woke up 4 freaking beers. I still am surprised by the craving and the obsession that I had. My eyes woke up, and I didn't even think of coffee, I didn't think of food. Probably if there was a bird singing, I wanted it to shut the hell up. My eyes just started open, and I knew for a certainty that I was going to be getting alcohol as soon as I could. Whatever time the liquor store opened, I had to have it. 4 beers. Like I was even that hungover, but it was an absolute certainty. I had to meet some coworkers over at the Rock Island brunch. You know how they have that on Sunday? I met them there, and I ordered on my birthday. I did order a Bloody Mary, and I'm still keeping my birthday day. I'm not moving it one day. I ordered a Bloody Mary and a beer. And I drank it, and then I remember feeling awkward around my coworkers and a pint of Miller Lite. And I felt awkward around my coworkers. It just didn't feel right. I knew I had to work the next day. I went home after that Bloody Mary, and I just had this unrelenting, intense craving that only us alcoholics know. I knew that I was going to the liquor store and going to call into my new job sick on Monday. And another demoralizing runner, as I've had many before all the time. I knew I'd been in these rooms enough what was going to happen, and I knew my past history. I'm going to the liquor store, and I'm going to fuck this up again. Repeat of past experiences and jobs were going to happen all over again. I felt panicked, almost grief-stricken at the powerlessness, the certainty of the events, the events that were undoubtedly about to unfold. My new job, just trying to the craving was so intense that I had no choice in the matter. I was powerless. Now that I have introduced that first drink, I did not want to go to the liquor store deep down, but I quite literally had no choice. If I ever had a white light experience, it would have happened right then. I suddenly knew instantly that what I've been hearing all of these years, all of these AA meetings, and all of the message about the allergy to alcohol, the obsession of the mind for beers, was absolutely true with me, and that I could never, without any shred of doubt, control my drinking, and that I was an alcoholic who could never drink again. It finally made sense to me, you guys. It just like play the tape forward. That stupid saying you've heard in these rooms, it just came to me, play the tape forward. The craving, the obsession, you have to get a sponsor and work the 12 steps or you are going to die. And all of the meetings and everything in the past, why hadn't it hit me? Like, I'm talking, there's a lot of stuff I didn't want to drunk-a-log, even though it sounded like I did drunk-a-log. I went through all the shit everyone's been through with detoxes, inpatients, terrible, all the darkness, but I didn't want to turn this story into that. But why? Why would it take so long hearing the message? But it did. And I'm here and I'm alive to tell you guys this tonight. That what I've been hearing all of these years about the allergy to alcohol and the obsession of the mind was absolutely true with me. That I could never drink without any shred of doubt, control my drinking, and that I was an alcoholic who could never drink again, unconsciously and with anger. And I was pissed because I had to give it up. And in defeat, I looked up at the sky and I spoke to God for the first time. And I said, fine! I was pissed. I had to give it up to him. And with anger, like an asshole. And I stomped over to down my trailer. And I picked up the phone list, Wenatchee phone list, and I called Chip to get Gary's number to ask him to sponsor me. Pissed, because I knew what I had to do. I had to hand it over to God, praying in the morning, asking for help to please remove the obsession of alcohol and drugs, and pray at night, thanking my God, higher power. Sometimes with a detailed list, sometimes simply saying, God, thank you, amen. Because when I was praying, I didn't have a higher power. But I had sponsors before all this had happened, and they suggested that I do pray in the morning and night. So I went on a past sponsors, who I don't have my big book. His name's written in there, Austin. So I followed his 2 prayers to a God I didn't have. But I was desperate. I did not know if I believed in a higher power. I had a classic example of an alcoholic living in self-will and self-centeredness to the extreme. In the very same white light experience in that moment, along with deciding that I had to listen to past advice and pray twice a day, I stomped over to get a phone list. Okay. Even though I did not immediately get a response, I never changed my mind. I didn't second guess it. At that moment, I knew I was an AA member right then and there. And then I was getting a sponsor and working the steps. There was no. When I screamed up at the sky and said, fine, it wouldn't have mattered if they would have never called. I was getting a sponsor. So I came in fully with both feet, coming into the rooms of AA and getting a sponsor. I was beat. King Alcohol had won, and I had become a winner by surrendering. I have since moved to the Tri-Cities, Washington, after I left here. And in April, I moved to my current place of residence in Startup, Washington. All right, here's our hope, what it's like now. Today, I live and work and go to a lot of AA meetings. I am involved in service at a very basic level, but I never say no, as you can see while I am standing here. I met Gary, and he asked me, and I said yes so quick that I could tell he went, because, hey, it's service. Yes. I'm the coffee opener of the Get Along group in Gold Bar, Washington on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Jerry and I would love to have you. My home group in Index, Washington on Fridays at 7 p.m. may perhaps be the most beautiful location for an AA room that I've ever seen. My first thing that I did when I moved to startup was I get a phone list. Freaking phone list, man. I write my name down on those phone lists, you guys, and I have had some people call me back and stuff, but keep on writing your name. It changed my life. I lean on the guys over there for any questions that I have or favors that I need. I believe that service and giving it away to keep it is the answer to success in this program. I have a new sponsor who is currently out of town. She didn't get to help me with any of this, so that's why I was apprehensive, even though I got an hour out of it. I didn't want to get too woo-woo-woo-woo, so that's why I wrote it down. She is an integral part of my recovery. I am sure when she gets back from vacation that we will get to work. She has 37 years and quite a story. Vicki knows her. I trust her and her AA family and lineage. Even though I am apprehensive to work through my fourth and fifth step, I know from listening in the rooms that it's the beginning of something great. My daily routine consists of, at a minimum, morning and bedtime prayer, 2 pages out of either the big book or the 12 by 12, and either one in-person meeting or at least a speaker meeting on tape because I drive around a lot at work. Some days the fitness gym takes precedence over the in-person meeting, but I pretty much don't miss a meeting because I'm still pretty sick, you guys. So my heart and my head are always right in the middle of this program. I know that if I quit going to meetings, that my brain will eventually come up with a reason to have that first drink. That it will be okay, and it's going to be different this time, just like Cinco de Mayo, that I will be able to control my drinking and drink like a gentleman. My hat's off to you if you can drink like a gentleman. I am more happy, joyous, and free than I ever thought possible, and I will keep coming back. I would also like to add in my message today that love is always kind of cheesy, but love is always the answer to every thought and action that we should be doing in our lives. I would like to close. I'm really thankful, you guys, for this opportunity. I haven't gone through this type of past stuff. Pen to paper has really, really helped me. I thank you, Cobb, for being here. And thank you, Wenatchee, for getting me sober. There's no place I would rather be than have my first speaker experience is to be in this room. Oh, I took these off. I saw this on the internet last week. I thought it fit pretty good. I'll close with a word from Bill W. This is on page 313 as Bill sees it. It may be possible to find explanations of spiritual experiences such as ours, but I have often tried to explain my own and have succeeded only in giving the story of it. I know the feeling it gave me and the results it has brought, but I realize I may never fully understand its deeper why and how. Thank you. Oh, okay.
We can do anything, boys, get in the middle.
There you go.
There you
Taylor's
go,
gonna Taylor's taking one for the team.
Taylor, good job. Okay, good job.
I'm not crawling, sorry. But I'll join you. Hey, what about this over here? Scratch your bum, come on.
There you go.
Who watches over and keeps us sober?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Keep coming back, it works if you work it, you're awful working it.
Would you like to come out?
I'm coming to a meeting. I'm coming to a meeting.
Thanks, you guys. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you. Yeah, see what you started?
Oh, yeah.
Very much.